Hey everybody, I'm Joe, and we're talking about the Marvel Multiverse TTRPG today, and we're going to talk about the best traits in the game. As always, we are making this video as of Rules Update 1.3. If further rules updates or the core rulebook, when it finally comes out this summer, alter some of the way that these work or add new traits, we might need to update this video. But until that time, these are my personal favorite traits in the game. Now, of course, one little caveat as we begin, just because I don't talk about a specific trait being really fantastic or one that you should definitely take, does not mean that it's not worth taking if it fits the idea or the theme that you have going for you. Let me give you an example. I have a player who has taken the honest trait, which immediately gives an edge on persuasion when you're telling the truth, but immediately gives you a troubled role when you're trying to lie. And that kind of is a balancing out trait, but this player's used it to amazing effect and also has brought a character to life. And this does interact well with the rule in the rulebook that states that when somebody intentionally takes a trait or a tag that gives them a difficulty, they should be rewarded with additional points of karma, which happens in the game. So don't let anything I say dissuade you from playing the character you want to play, ever. Make sure that you bring to life the character you're excited about. But with that said, let's get rolling. These are in no particular order. They're just some of the ones that I have wanted to take on builds that I'm making time and time again. And the very first one that we're going to take is Battle Ready. So Battle Ready is great. It's so simple. It just adds 5 to your focus. That's it. And that is user-friendly, and it interacts well with all of the powers which spend focus. We know 2 things right now about focus and powers. Right now, the best powers are fueled by adding focus, right? And we know that more powers are going to be fueled by focus in the future. So this is going to actually become more useful the more stuff that is published by Marvel. It's going to always help you out. And honestly, the only bad thing about this power is you can't take it more than once. All right, the next trait that is going to get to my list of personal favorites is Combat Reflexes. This gives you 1 additional reaction per turn. And that's amazing because this game automatically gives every character a list of reactions that they can take. They have been added to and expanded on, so it's not like other game systems where you need to take some ability or spell or power in order to have an additionally cool reaction. You have a smorgasbord of them already. You're just limited to how often you can do them. This doubles your effectiveness when it's not your turn. I absolutely love Combat Reflexes. All right, the next trait that I love is one that might be a little bit subtle, but I think that it has an enormous amount of benefit to you as the player, and that's connections. Connections just means that you know somebody, and that somebody is really involved in a particular field or aspect of the story. Why is this so useful? This is your ability as a player to be able to tap into the lore that your narrator is creating. You have an immediate ability to access somebody that can at least give you a clue on the direction that you should be going. You need information about a bad guy, you need information about a location, you need information about how something might interact with the larger world, go to your connection. You will always be able to utilize this connection. And honestly, your narrator probably wants you to take this because they want to have an avenue to be able to give you an appropriate direction or give you hints about the world or the lore, or if something's even a good idea. This is useful. The next trait that I really like is Free Running, which immediately gives you an edge on all agility-based checks that you make during a movement action. So this is a particularly, I think, poorly worded trait. You might look at it and just think you won't come up all that often. But it doesn't say that you get an edge while running. It says you get an edge during a movement action. Movement action includes flying. It includes climbing. It includes swinging. and it does include running and swimming. So any time that you're trying to chase somebody, or you're being chased, or you're trying to get away from a situation, anytime there are obstacles around you, this is going to immediately make your movement better. Any character that needs to be a high mobility based character, or any character that takes flight, probably should take free running. It's a really cool trait. All right, we're going to deal with the next two traits that I personally love together, and they are signature attack and signature weapon. These cannot be underestimated, and you should probably take them on any character that is combat focused. Signature weapon says that you have a particular weapon that when you have it, it has some kind of special property. Now, this might be as elaborate of a special property as Thor's hammer, right? But it doesn't have to be. I think that any player should be able to negotiate a signature weapon that at least is a +1 weapon with a narrator, right? And why do I say that? Because a handgun is a +1 weapon, and you could pick that up right away at rank 1. Your villains probably have +1 handguns, and so you immediately can have a damage output increase, a damage multiplier from rank 1 if you take signature weapon. And if you're able to negotiate that it's an even more powerful weapon, or that it scales in its damage output as you as a character grow in rank, you immediately get scaling damage output, some kind of special ability, and this frees up your ability to take powers that are not damage related, but utility related, because your damage scale is already going to be increased. This is flavorful, it adds to your character, it adds to your backstory, it allows you to take more and more interesting powers, and it increases your damage at the same time. There's nothing to not love about signature weapon. Now, signature weapon is great, and it pairs with the trait that sits right next to it, and that's signature attack. Signature attack says that you have a particular weapon or attack that when you do that specific thing, you immediately gain an edge. I love this. I've spoken before about how one of the worst powers in the game for me is Lock On, which is in several power sets, and it is a power that when you use it immediately grants you an edge. And that's okay, but why would I expend one of my few powers I can take when I could just take signature attack and then automatically gain an edge with a particular attack or weapon anyway? And then I'd be able to take other powers at the same time. This does so much for your action economy. Now, one thing that interacts really well with signature attack is the way that attacking multiple targets works in Marvel Multiverse. In a rules errata, it specifically says that when you are making a roll to attack multiple targets, which is any number larger than 1 in the game, there's no upper limit to that. When you are attacking multiple targets, you make one roll, and it is compared against the defense of every target you are attacking. Now, this interacts with signature attack. Signature attack says when you do this one particular thing, you have an edge on it. So, if you are making one of the myriad multi-target attack powers in the game, and you make it your signature attack, you roll once with an edge, and that is compared to the defense of every single enemy. If you had to roll for every enemy and you had an edge only on the first roll, it wouldn't be very useful. But as it is, you get an edge on every one of those attacks effectively. Those pair beautifully together, and it can be any power in the game. So you can wait to take this as your trait until you get that one really good power that you want to use all the time and make that your signature. One really good example of this is if you wait with the weather control power set to take Lightning Barrage, which I think is a great power, and you automatically make that your signature attack, you're going to be able to do some pretty fantastic damage regularly. So that's good. It just would not be a video about great traits until you take a look at surprising power. Surprising power is in all likelihood the single best trait in the game, and let's talk about why. So surprising power specifically says that you can choose a power that you normally wouldn't be able to use. And you can take this trait multiple times. Okay, so that's what it says. Here's the confusing part. What does would not normally be able to use mean? Does it mean you can choose literally anything? Probably not. That's way too powerful. There's no specific interpretation of this language that has been published by Marvel. So right now I'm going to tell you my interpretation of it. And that is something I expect to be clarified or changed in the next rules errata or when the game officially comes out. My interpretation is that you can bypass one of the prerequisites for a particular power. Now that is a me interpretation, right? But that is a way that you would not normally be able to take the power, and it keeps it from you being able to take a power at rank 1 that you should have to wait till rank 4 or 5 to take, right? Okay. With just bypassing one prerequisite, there's so much that you can do. If you want to get a power 1 rank early and you meet the other prerequisites, such as the rest of the feat chain, you can do so, right? That spikes your power earlier than it should. It gives you a ramp to your damage output, a rank earlier than everybody else. But that's not even my favorite way to use this. My favorite way to use surprising power is if I want to take one power in a power set I have not purchased into. Then I can have a time when I've leveled up to a new rank. I take 3 powers that are either utility or in power sets I'm already purchased into, take surprising power as my trait, and then I get to take a 4th power. And I have not purchased into a new power set. So long as that new power I either meet all the prerequisites for or it has no prerequisites, you can have a 4th power even if it's in a new power set. I think the best way to use this is to use surprising power as your trait and take Do This All Day. Do This All Day, I'm using it on a bunch of character builds. It allows you to expend focus in order to heal at a 2-for-1 discount. It has no prerequisites, but it is not utility. It's in a couple of the individual power sets, most notably the martial arts power set. So taking surprising power and snapping up this wonderful power and not doing anything else in martial arts, it basically buys you a free power, which is pretty cool. All right, so those are my favorite of the traits in the game. There's a lot of other ones that I think are really good. Eidetic memory, I think, is great. Determination is really good. But those are going to be my favorites. If you've used them in a build and they've really done something fantastic for you, let us know in the comments below. As always, YouTube is literally made out of buttons. I hope you press some of them, and I'll see you next time. All right, peace.